Record. What's going on, anyone, and welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Maverick, bringing you back to yet another dope list video. This time around, we're going to talk about 10 WWE face characters I love. Remember, make your own list if you disagree. And I decided to put this together because some time ago I did top 10 heel characters that I love. Now we're going to talk about some of the face characters I loved. Real spill. If I don't get too deep into the storyline, I'm just gonna get into, how good it felt to see them, beat their biggest villain or to get their biggest win. You know what I'm saying? Or if I can't remember any storylines, because I'm telling you, these face characters raised generations. Okay. I'm gonna try to go through this as fast as possible, just like I did on the last wrestler list I did. But if I take long, it's because I get passionate. Okay. So, without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get into it. Oh, yeah, I must remind you there are no honorable mentions because I could do top 10 WWE face characters I love part 2. Same as if I could do a heel characters I love part 2. And then, no honorable mentions. Make your own list if you disagree. And let's go ahead and dive right into the 10th pick, y'all. Come in at number 10. Some of y'all going to get mad because I have him this low. Only because over the years, this run gets a little bit too much love. But nonetheless, I still loved how well this character was booked. I'm giving you guys Yes Movement era 2013, 14, 15 Daniel Bryan. And the reason why I have this character in that 10th place is because, well, number one, to see him beat the odds was nothing short of legendary. And like, number two, like, he got over in such a natural way to the point where WWE had no choice but to cave and listen to the audience. You know what I'm saying? Like, dude, we wanted this guy to be the guy, and WWE didn't want him to. They even said in promos, multiple promos, Steph was like, "You're just a B+ player." But nah, we knew he had the talent. We knew he had the riz. The problem is his durability, because he did go into WrestleMania injured. He did walk out of WrestleMania with titles injured. He had to relinquish the title because he got injured again. He even beat Super Cena long before this picture even was taken. He beat Super Cena to win the belt, but Randy Orton cashed in on him. Which was the perfect setup to this long feud that he had with the Authority. And the payoff, definitely well worth it. Too bad that this main event run that he had did not last super duper long. Because he would retire about shortly 2 years after this event. And then he would come back again and then turn heel again. And then become a babyface and then leave for AEW years down the line. But still, regardless, this is one of the best well built up face runs because the fans organically got behind him. And I was one of them because I always knew DB could wrestle. We all did. But he wasn't given the proper shine. And by the time that they let him do it, it carried WrestleMania 30. His storyline carried 30. The matches in between, the matches he was involved in, the matches in between was weak. Well, not weak, just weaker. Like that whole Shield versus Old Age Outlaws and Kane, mediocre. Cena versus Bray Wyatt, mediocre. Taker versus Brock, trash. AJ burying the whole Divas roster, mediocre. It's because of this match right here. This match right here. This moment right here made him a legend. Alright, coming in number 9. I was thinking and debating in my mind for a bit who I should put for number 9, but it became undeniable the more I thought about it. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you 2000s era Heartbreak Kid Shawn Michaels. And I say 2000s era because he was a long time babyface for Monday Night Raw. He was a long time babyface for Monday Night Raw. And what he did for the culture around this time, being that older guy that didn't need to hog the main event spot but was there to tell great stories, definitely made, wrestling, hard to miss. Because, like, everything from his feud with Triple H when he first came back as a full-time wrestler too, his feuds with Chris Jericho both in 03 and 08 were damn good. They never had a bad match with each other. Shawn and Jericho never had a bad match with each other. And then you got his feuds with Vince. His feuds with excuse me. His feuds with Orton. Feuds with Cena. Feuds with Kurt Angle, which is arguably my second favorite. And then to finally cap off his run, his feud with The Undertaker. Stuff of legend. His feud with Hulk Hogan was legendary too because he kept overselling his moves. Like, look, I know he was supposed to be a heel in that match, but my ass was cheering for Shawn. I'm like, look at how crazy he's making Hulk Hogan look. Say what you want to say for that match. Even though Shawn lost, I felt like Hulk should have put Shawn over, but Shawn was making Hulk's moves look foolish, man. Yeah, and then the DX reunions with Triple H were amazing. Everything from when he was impersonating Shane and Triple H was impersonating Vince, and they rained poo all over them in the Spirit Squad, and then once Shawn got done losing to the Undertaker at WrestleMania 25, greatest match ever, by the way. Triple H got him out of that cooking spot and back into wrestling. And they became the Unified Tag Champs, and that put the Unified Tag Team Championships, on a high scale. Granted, its value would get diminished, therefore, after that, but the Unified Tag Team titles were at a good spot when them two held it. And then let's not forget how obsessed Shawn was over trying to beat the Undertaker. Dude, this man goes on the podium during the Slammy Awards. It was like, Undertaker, I can beat you. One more time. WrestleMania 26. The Heartbreak Kid versus the Dead Man. And then Undertaker came up there with his World Heavyweight title. He was like, my answer is no. So, this man, so desperate to face the Undertaker, he was like, well, the only shot I got is a Royal Rumble. So he enters in it. He even super kicks Triple H out of the damn ring, eliminating him. And then I'm like, all right, Shawn, if you're going to ride off this, you better win this. And he was down to, I think it was the last four, because it was him, Edge, Batista, and John Cena, because he was in the final four. And Edge had him on the apron, and the problem is Shawn Sweet Chin Music Edge back into the ring, and then Batista came from behind and clubbed him in the side of the head, knocked him off the apron, and eliminated him. And he got so mad that he started super kicking all the referees. He was that desperate for a match with Undertaker, so he knew he had to do what he had to do. Elimination Chamber comes the next month, and Undertaker is about to pretty much put a whooping on Jericho. This fucker Shawn comes from underneath the floors of the Elimination Chamber in his yard clothes and Sweet Chin Music's Undertaker, allowing Jericho to pin him and win the World Heavyweight title. WWE did a masterclass of writing those stories because there was already rivalry between Edge and Jericho, and putting the belt on Jericho made the match at WrestleMania 26 feel more significant. Meanwhile, Undertaker at this point has no choice but to accept Shawn Michaels' challenge. He was like, Undertaker, face me at WrestleMania and get your revenge. And then Undertaker was like, I accept, but on one condition. If I win, your career is over. And that shit, chills running down my spine, nerves going all up and all that. Man, I was fearing for Shawn. I'm like, this might be his last ride for real. I'm not, no pun intended. And then weeks and weeks building up to their match. Shawn was like, if I can't beat you at WrestleMania, I have no career. And I'm like, they're totally building this up. And the match was gas, just like the one in the previous era. It was gas. Because it was pinfall submission only. They was fighting on the outside. Shoot, Shawn even took a tombstone on the outside. This shit was gas. But the only way the storybook end that, he didn't want to go out like how he put out Ric Flair at WrestleMania 24 when he told Ric Flair, I'm sorry. When Ric was like, and he was like, I'm sorry. I love you. And then bam. No. He wanted to come out like a rebel to the end. He wanted to come out like a G. Shoot. Undertaker told him, stay down. And then Shawn was like, while he was on his knees. And then he rose to his feet and slapped the Undertaker. And Undertaker was like, and then gave him a jumping tombstone pile driver for the 1, 2, 3. The streak's alive. Shawn Michaels' career is over. And I'm like, but this is kind of bittersweet, man. This is kind of bittersweet. But you had a legendary run. It took me until I got older and Shawn started doing interviews on why he had to retire at that moment, because he realized his kids was getting older and he wanted to see them graduate and all that. You know, he wanted to be dad. So I'm like, you know what? It all made sense, because at the time Shawn Michaels was 44 going on 45. So he only had so long to enjoy the youth of his kids. And he stayed retired all them years out of respect for what The Undertaker put out there. And we are not going to talk about that Crown Jewel match. Get out of my face. But yeah. But I have to admit, like, that had to be, that run that he had, putting banger match after banger match at WrestleMania. And then, like, all his other feuds with Orton, Edge, Kurt Angle, Triple H, Jericho, stuff of legend. Even in the first he even won the first Elimination Chamber match. Did y'all know that? He even won the first Elimination Chamber match, became World Heavyweight Champ. So yeah, man. Shawn Michaels, you forever will be like solidified for me, top 5 dead or alive. Coming in at 8th place. It's funny. I just got done mentioning this guy. But it ain't just, this guy whole career, but it's a specific point of his career that I loved so much that I have to highlight it here. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Wrestling Machine, Black Singlet, Kurt Angle. Yes. We're not going to call him Perk Angle because he said he doesn't hate that. This is Peak Angle. Right here. Peak Angle. This guy was an open can of whoop ass whoever he laid his sights on. Like, everybody's getting dealt with. Everybody. It didn't matter who you were, what brand you wrestled for. It didn't matter. This version of Kurt Angle was giving the beats to everybody. That's why I love this version of Kurt Angle. Like, he told Undertaker before their match at Nowhere, he was like, you like making people scream. I like making people tap out. Shoot. Even that Raw after he won the World Heavyweight title, he was like some, hey, when they were chanting you suck, I believe they were talking about you, Lita. And then he confronted Edge. He was like see, you won your title through I won my title through hard work. You won your title through pure luck. He was like, if you're a man, you know what? Let's unify these titles. Let's unify them right here, right now. This dude was wearing a mouth guard, setting, like even before he won the World Heavyweight Championship against Mark Henry, because Mark Henry put him through a table. He didn't even throw him over the top. He tried to take Kurt Angle out. He put the he got up from that table spot and he put a stretch out. He was like, dah! I'm like, let's go, Kurt! Let's go, Kurt! Now, regardless if that last elimination was Mickey or not, it felt good seeing Angle hold that title. You know what I'm saying? He was like, yeah! Like, this dude was intense on top of that. Even before that, when he was a heel, still wearing his red, white, and blue singlets, man. This dude was, on demon timing, like, bro. Everything from his match with Shawn Michaels, his feud with Booker T, where he was stalking Booker T's wife with that creepy smile on his face. Man, he was on one. Peak Angle was just on one. And then, like, man, dude, this dude told Randy Orton, Rey Mysterio would have been better competition, but now I gotta face you. And then he was ripping Randy Orton throughout that whole interview between him, Rey Mysterio, and Randy Orton, because that was the setup to their triple threat match to the World Heavyweight Championship at WrestleMania 22. Good match, but it would have been better if they had given it a lot more time. But hey, it is what it is. You gotta love Kurt though, because like when it comes to technical wrestling, he's peak. He's peak. A lot of old heads will argue Bret Hart. Some will argue Chris Benoit. But I argue since Kurt got the credentials, I mean, look at the gold medal. Since Kurt got the literal credentials, Kurt is top of the line when it comes to technical wrestling. Could tell the heck out of a story too. But yeah. I would want to put his 2003 face version when he first came back from neck surgery. When he came back from neck surgery during that summer and got the WWE Championship back from Brock Lesnar and had that banger of a 60-minute Iron Man match during SmackDown that put Lesnar back over. I would have put that in there, but there's something about this version of Kurt Angle that stuck out to me. But yeah, man. Too bad Vince had his panties in a bunch and wouldn't let you retire against John Cena. But hey. We stand Kurt Angle around here. Coming in at number 7. Funny, I just got done talking about this guy too in the last interview. Ladies and gentlemen, can you say Booyaka? Rey Mysterio. Why is Rey Mysterio on here? Well, simple. All of us as kids kind of wanted to be this guy. I mean, whatever spot that was Ariel, he took to it. I mean, he's the greatest luchador alive. The greatest luchador alive. Like, this guy, everything from his gimmick to his outfits to his finishing moves, the 619 and the splash and the freaking dropping the dime. Everything from the wheelbarrow into a bulldog. Everything from the head scissors to the hurricanranas. You know what I'm saying? We all wanted to be Rey Mysterio at a point. Like, dude, I remember at a point where Walmart and Target were selling his masks, and my older brother bought one. And like he had an unwritten contract with the younger fans of his audience that would wear his masks. He would put his head up to their heads, and then just say something powerful to them, say something good to them. And I'm like, man, I wish I was one of those kids, because remember, I wanted to be one of those kids that got face to face with Rey Mysterio. And the fact that he's in his 50s and still doing this is otherworldly. Like, tell you the truth, he's also the perfect guy to want to put over a villain. Like, if you want to get somebody over as a villain, have them whoop Rey Mysterio's ass. It don't matter if it's Kane, Mike Knox, Mark Henry, Batista, Randy Orton. It don't matter. Whoever's the heel, Edge, it don't matter. Whoever's playing the heel, have him face off against Rey Mysterio. and you'll get over. Because that's how much the general WWE audiences love this guy. Shoot. I want to say, we know if it wasn't for Eddie Guerrero's passing, he wouldn't have been World Heavyweight Champion in 06. We know that. But what I want to say is, if it wasn't for him going to SmackDown after spending like 1 year on Raw, him and Jericho would not have had that amazing feud for the Intercontinental Championship. To me, it's between the IC title run and his Cruiserweight title run back in 03, 04, and then like perhaps maybe his second world title run, but then that was relatively short too. It's between his Intercontinental title run and his Cruiserweight title run, which were his best runs as far as of singles titles, because his world title runs were very, very soured. You know what I'm saying? Because his first world title run, they kept on making him job too much. And then the second world title run, he only had one successful defense, and then he jobbed to Kane right after because he cashed in for the World Heavyweight title. So, hey. And then he didn't even get to be champion for more than a day. He didn't get to be champion for more than a day for when he became WWE champion. You want to know why? Because Vince wanted John Cena to have a belt back. Vince and Triple H. So you can blame those guys, man.
Shit.
But yeah, regardless, Ray, you're still a legend. You're still an icon. You know what I'm saying? If I get a hold of one of those all WCW masks with the crown in the middle, I'm getting one. But anyway, coming in at number 6, this guy's another luchador. In fact, he appeared in my last video. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Eddie Guerrero. So I had to put this on here because of this very moment right here, right above me. This very moment right here. This was Eddie Guerrero at the peak of his powers. Beating the Edition, giving that amazing heartfelt promo against Brock Lesnar, and beating Brock Lesnar to get the WWE Championship. We loved it over here, man. We were celebrating like this. And we didn't care if it wasn't clean. You know why? Because his character was to lie, to cheat, to steal. And Goldberg helped him out. And he didn't care about Eddie, no. He wanted to get his lick back against Brock for dissing him at the Royal Rumble a month prior. So the story pretty much wrote itself. And then Kurt Angle, being the badass he was, decides to give him the beats, turning heel yet again, and putting on a banger of a match at WrestleMania 20 that year. Banger! Sadly, Eddie would feel a little too stressed of carrying the whole company on his back, so he did the most selfless thing he could do as a world champion. Decided to job to JBL during the Texas Bull Rope match and give him the belt. Without Eddie doing that, you don't get one of the greatest villains in WWE history holding the belt hostage for, you know, the better half of over 7-8 months. And without that, you don't get John Cena as a WWE champion either. So, if you want somebody to thank for John Cena being a main event guy back in 2005, it's Eddie. It's Eddie. Plus, his theme songs went crazy. Mamacita, I got that passion that's lasting long. Las mujeres fall in love with that Latin tone. One woman isn't enough, amigo. Siempre puedo. Las mujeres porque soy Latino. And I'm tougher than tough caller. Y'all bluff, cuz. We don't care if you like us. Everybody wants to fight us. That's the theme song you have with Chavo Guerrero. Don't you love it when him and Chavo teamed up? I did. And they had those little funny skits that they would do, where they were line cheating still all throughout their neighborhood. Don't you just love it? And then, like, one of my favorite segments was when he was auctioning off all of Kurt Angle's stuff. He was like, look at this wheelchair, Holmes. We could get my cousin Judy and put some hydraulics on it. Orale. Oh, man. And then, like, dude, tell me you didn't want to ride in Eddie's lowrider so I can call cab, because I'm telling you, we all wanted to ride in that lowrider, man. You know, and then, like, that's why it hit so hard when he died, because he had just turned back babyface. And Batista got hurt, so he was going to be the World Heavyweight Champion going into WrestleMania 22. But we all know what happened that November. We all know what happened. Rest in power. Rest in power. But yeah, regardless of the fact, you know, as far as luchadors go, Eddie's the greatest because of how versatile of a competitor he was. He could wrestle, he could brawl. Eddie Guerrero could do it all. Enough said. Coming in at fifth place, we have the first inkling of main event Batista, the Animal. Yes. And I put this version of him in here because this version felt so organic and so well put together that I could not ignore it. The seeds were planted of him turning babyface at a point. It all started when they botched a finish to the Royal Rumble, because him and John Cena both got eliminated, and then Vince, who hilariously tore his quads, Vince angrily stormed in there and demanded the match be restart, with Batista actually getting the win over John Cena. And he won the Royal Rumble. He did win the Royal Rumble. And Triple H and Ric Flair was trying to tempt Batista to go to SmackDown and win and go over there and face JBL for the WWE Championship. And little do they know that Batista was overhearing them speak. You know, Triple H was like, but you know, Batista's too dumb, you know, and not to refuse that. WWE, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And Batista had listening ears on that. And then let's not forget, weeks prior to his decision, Batista was in the Elimination Chamber match with Triple H, Randy Orton, and others at New Year's Revolution. And dude, when Batista was risking his neck out helping Triple H. But in typical Triple H fashion, when Batista gets RKO'd by Randy, Triple H didn't lift a finger to help break up the pin. And you think Batista forgot that. And there were times throughout the match where Batista could have clobbered Triple H, but he didn't. He showed some restraint. Flash forward to that eventful night on Monday Night Raw. T-Lo comes through with the SmackDown contract. Tries to tempt him to stay. Tries to tempt him to leave Raw. Bischoff, you know, wants him to stay on Raw. And then, like, he takes both the contracts, slams the Raw one down. And then Flair and Triple H give him the thumbs up. And Batista was like, and then frowns. And that's where we get this iconic picture. And then he slams the SmackDown clipboard. Triple H tries to attack him, but he spinebusters Triple H. Attacks Ric Flair, and then powerbombs and takes off his suit and stuff, and powerbombs Triple H to the table. He's like, I'm staying right here on Raw, and I'm taking your your World Heavyweight Championship. And Triple H put him over so good. Their feud lasted all the way until Vengeance. And he did so well there. And then the uber dominant run that he had as World Heavyweight Champion. Amazing. Too bad that the biceps injury got to him. But by the time he came back, he was ready to be on top again. He had that epic feud with Undertaker. And Edge got in the mix too. It was stuff of legend. Even when he went back to Raw and was feuding with the likes of JBL, CM Punk, Shawn Michaels, but even then, he was the biggest threat to Chris Jericho for the World Heavyweight title. That's why Cyber Sunday 08, Chris Jericho tried to run, but Steve Austin was like, And then once that was done, he started feuding with Randy Orton. He would get injured in January and miss the Royal Rumble, and then by the time after WrestleMania, he ended up coming back. He ended up feuding with Randy Orton again. Sadly, he tore his biceps. Come back, get drafted to SmackDown, and then would turn heel, which would put an end to this face run. But by the time but around this time when he first did this, Batista was so damn over. Y'all don't get it, man. Like, dude, how many of y'all wanted to do that machine gun entrance that when his theme song went off? You know what I'm saying? Like, it was so over that a kid snuck backstage in front of the cameras where Batista was at, and security was chasing him. He did the machine gun in front of him, and Batista just smiled and laughed it off. He didn't even care. He just liked that. He just liked that he did that. You know what I'm saying? He was that cool of a dude. But yeah, man. Shout out Batista. Coming in at 4th place, we have People's Champion, The Rock. And I had to put both versions of this. I had to put both face versions of The Rock in here. Because let's just be for real. Both these versions of The Rock were so damn over. Like, it wasn't a week of Raw or SmackDown with the version of The Rock on the left without him saying something funny or outrageous or straight up just trashing wrestlers on the mic. Like, I remember one time he was like, Kane, how about you go in the back and prove to Benoit, how about you go in the back and prove to Kane that you're not a woman? It was hilarious. Look. And then like he was like, so I remember one time he was like, I'm trying to think. He looked at Triple H. He was like, I'm talking to the man who took wedding vows to the biggest slut in the universe. Or when him, Jericho, and Stephanie was in, he was like, if anybody knows anything about screwing, it's you, and pointed at Stephanie. And then the time where he sung Happy Birthday to her, he was like, Happy birthday to Steph. You're a hoe with big breasts. Take the night off from hooking if you smell what The Rock is cooking. Stuff a legend. This guy was pure gold. And like the fact that he was at the peak of his powers by the time the Monday Night Roars were pretty much nailing the coffin, and Stone Cold wasn't around to keep it afloat because he hurt his neck. The Rock's feuds with Triple H and Big Show and all that definitely kept WWE afloat. Because everybody said 2000 was WWE's best year. This man was the biggest reason why. Shoot, if it wasn't for that, if it wasn't for corporate champion, if it wasn't for any of that, if it wasn't for how over he was, he more than likely does not have an acting career because of this run. You know what I'm saying? Having banger matches after banger matches with Triple H, Austin, Kurt Angle, you name it. The Rock was everywhere. You know what I mean? I would have to say one of my favorite poses from that era of Rock would have to be this one. Oh dear, Billy Gunn, you get down on your knees, you pray to God, you ask God, oh dear God, my name's Billy. I just want king in the ring. But there's just one problem. Everybody thinks that I absolutely suck. Stuff a legend, I tell you. Stuff a legend. And there was also this version of Rock that beat Hulk Hogan at WrestleMania 18. I would remember. You know what I'm saying? He was burying the NWO. Big Daddy Cool, Diesel. Oh, Shuko, Razor Ramon. Anyway, let me stop. And then we get to the return of the People's Champion. This period when he was feuding with John Cena. Stuff a legend. This version of The Rock was half of the biggest reason why WrestleMania 28 is still the highest grossing and most bought WWE pay-per-view of all time. Because if it wasn't for The Rock coming back and doing this, man, we was glued to our seats for WrestleMania, for the build-up to WrestleMania 28, because it was jab after jab, war after war. Actually, the week before, leading up to it, when The Rock was doing a rock concert, he he says, you know, John Cena, you know I'm a fan, but please stop begging for that rectal exam. That Rock concert was legendary. He was like, we're in Cleveland, we rock, baby. He was like, he said, y'all want to hear a little gossip? It's about John Cena and Eve. You see, nobody saw this, but The Rock saw it. Little John Cena hanging out with Eve, making out with Eve, pulling on that thigh and tugging on her weave. Little John Cena that had the time of his life, but I guess he didn't tell her that he's got a wife. Let's rock. Everybody, let's rock. Divorce lawyers right up the block. But we're dancing cause Cleveland rocks. And then at the end of that, when he did Cena, you're a bitch eating Kung Pao chicken. You can never be The Rock on your very this day. Waste of space, sheer disgrace, kicking your ass all over this place. Singing, we will rock you. Cena sucks. I'm telling you, this version of The Rock, one half of the greatest feud ever. Because him and John Cena really didn't like each other. Because in the 7 years he's out, John Cena had a problem with him saying that he was offended by him saying he loves the business, but you're never there. I'm there every week. That's really what the feud was all about. It was all about respect. It wasn't over no females. It wasn't over no money. It wasn't over no clout. It was about respect. And it culminated at 28. It culminated. That match still gives me goosebumps, man. I'm telling you. Even though they would milk it by doing twice in a lifetime, I still didn't care. I still didn't care. I like seeing two of my favorite wrestlers go at it. You know what I'm saying? Even though their second match was underwhelming, it was a great passing of the torch moment. It was no different than what The Rock did, what Hulk Hogan did for him at WrestleMania 28. And I also like that it took for him to beat CM Punk to get that. You know what I'm saying? Because around that time, not gonna lie, I started getting real sick of CM Punk during the early 2013. I started to get real sick of him. So when The Rock came back and the Shield kept bailing this dude out, I'm like, could somebody please dethrone CM Punk, please? And it took The Rock flexing his muscles to do that. And I'm like, yes, my boy Rock did it. And he beat him again at Elimination Chamber, the very, very next part. And I'm like, yes, yes, yes. My man Rocky, let's get it. But yeah, man. But look, I don't know if he officially called it quits and not for wrestling, but I know once he actually declares that he's 100% done in ring, you know, everybody's going to just give him his absolute flowers, because without this, there is no actor Rock, okay? Like, I'm telling you, this dude is a living legend. Top of the line. Bar for bar, he's solidified literally top 4. Dead or alive. He's in the Mount Rushmore for WWE wrestling, okay? He's in the top 4. If you want to argue otherwise, then let's debate about it in the comments section. But I'm telling you, and don't you dare ask me who's better between Rock and Austin. You should already know my answer. You should already know my answer. You understand that? Alright. Let's move on. Coming in at third place. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you both Biker Taker and Return of the Dead Man Taker. Yes, sirree, Bob. Biker Taker, mainly because, for me, that's the real Undertaker. Who he's not when he's not the scary dark figure. No. The Taker on the left, that's the real Taker. When he's not wrestling, that's really him. And that's why I loved Biker Taker. Vince hated him, but I loved him. Even his theme songs from Keep Rolling, Rolling, Rolling to You've Done It Now. You've gone and made a big mistake. And I can't allow you to think you could just walk away. So turn around and face the piper. You're gonna pay. Because the end is now. This is gonna be your judgment day. A cheap shot. That's the way you play the game. I was blindsided. Things will never ever be the same. Nice guys. It said they always finish last, but badasses always kicking ass on ass. Kick it. You're gonna pay. It's my business. You're mine. You're gonna pay. I'm gonna bring you down. You're gonna pay. There's no forgiveness this time. You're gonna pay. Anyway, let me stop. But yeah, man. Everything from this era to when he came back in 2004 as the Dead Man. Iconic. He's another baby face is great at putting heels over. Shoot. Damn near he's put Khali over. He's put Kane over. He's put Punk over, even though he technically didn't because he didn't tap out to Punk. He's put Orton over. He's put Angle over. He put Mark Henry over somewhat, and until they faced off in that casket match. He's put Brock Lesnar over more times than I can count. And then, like, even in the matches he won, like the matches he had, you know what I'm saying, during when the WrestleMania streak was starting to get relevant. Like his streak matches from, I want to say, from like 2005 to 2013, his streak matches were stuff for legend. Orton, amazing because of that chokeslam counter and Bob Orton interference. The only like one that didn't live up was the casket match from Mark Henry in 06. That was, man. But his match against Batista, banger. His match against Edge, banger. His two matches back to back with Shawn Michaels, one of them being the greatest match of all time, banger. His match against Triple H at WrestleMania 27, the only great match on the card. His match against Triple H again, with Shawn Michaels with the referee in the Hell in a Cell match at WrestleMania 28. Classic. His match versus CM Punk at WrestleMania 29. Banger. And the right person won. They had to let him win. Because imagine him going hard like that after losing Paul Bearer just to lose that match. That would have been crazy. But why did he want to put Lesnar over for WrestleMania 30? Why? Regardless, I must say, he's also like one of those staple wrestlers that never switched brands during the first brand split. He's one of those storyline makers. You know what I'm saying? Just like what Shawn Michaels was on Raw, he's one of those constant storyline makers on SmackDown where you don't necessarily need a title to make him tell an interesting story. You know what I'm saying? Shoot. Like, even that episode of SmackDown where he told Randy Orton, Randy, you're coming with me to hell. Or, like, I know what title was involved in this, but y'all remember that one episode of SmackDown where, he got screwed out of the week after he got screwed out of the World Heavyweight title because he didn't tap out CM Punk. He had Tilo getting a limo and Taker was driving and Taker was like, buckle up, Teddy. Stuff a legend. And then like, dude. Even even that whole feud where it was him versus the Dudley Boys and Paul Bearer, and he put Paul Bearer and all that cement. The match might have been underwhelming, but that was the most memorable moment of the match. You know what I'm saying? And even like his competitive feud with Batista was iconic. And then there was that one feud with Edge post WrestleMania where Vicky stripped him of the title, and they fought to a count out at Judgment Day, and then they had that loser leaves WWE match at TLC in a TLC match, and Undertaker took one of the biggest bumps of his career there, and Vicky got so mad at Edge for cheating on her that she was like, I'm reinstating the Undertaker, and you're gonna go up against him in a Hell in a Cell match. And boy, that Hell in a Cell match was epic, especially the part where he stole Edge's spear, right? And then he chokeslammed him off a ladder through the mat and lit him on fire. I'm like, yes, Edge is dead. Only for him to come back and take the WWE Championship from Triple H by pinning him after a spear and spearing Jeff Hardy with a steel chair in his hand. Doggone it. But yeah, regardless if you want to talk about his WrestleMania streak matches or all of his amazing storylines or the epicness of his character, Undertaker is, arguably top 5 dead or alive. And I say arguably because that list is so stacked. But you couldn't help but want to love the Undertaker. Like, even when if you were play wrestle, I'm sure you've given somebody a tombstone pile driver before, or put somebody in the Hell's Gate. I know I have. I've done both. Shoot, my older brothers used to choke slam and tombstone me all the time. Shoot, in fact, my oldest brother used to give me the last ride onto the bed. Anyway, but yeah, you gotta love Undertaker. I'll take a chokeslam bump from him any day, and I'll sell it better than Brock Lesnar ever would. But yeah, man, thank you, Undertaker, for the amazing memories. Coming in second place. This guy is a hood legend, even though he's technically not black. But we love him so much that him and his older bro is invited to every cookout. And it's for this specific run distinctively why he's in this run. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the charismatic enigma, Jeff Hardy. And not just Jeff Hardy. Oh no, we talking about main event Friday Night SmackDown, Jeff Hardy. Why is this version in here? Well, this was him at the peak of his powers. No heavy drug use, no injury, pure heart and dedication to the game. And he got over organically too. Because think about it, Vince did not want him being a champion because he didn't trust him because of his history with drugs. He didn't trust him. At all. But we the fans, we didn't care. We knew what we saw in Jeff. We knew what we wanted. And it was thanks to Freddie Prinze Jr. and a couple other guys in the back that was backing Jeff Hardy. We got this. And I will never apologize for it. I will never regret for it because this is one of the fondest moments of my memories as a child watching wrestling. I was about 9-10 years old watching this epic main event run. Being in love. Wanting to get the headband, the armbands, the face paint. And I had the spinner belt. I still got the spinner belt up in here. I had the big gold belt too. But yeah, man, dude. Jeff, you wasn't lying. We wasn't lying when he said that he was bigger than Obama by late 2008. Because, man, I'm telling you, by the time Obama was declared the president-elect, we was pulling for Jeff to go back to the Survivor Series to challenge Triple H for the WWE title, because we knew that he had what it took. He just kept getting unlucky. We knew if he got there one more time, he would taste the sweetness of victory and get a hold of the big gold. But nah, the management didn't want that to happen. But they could not ignore this. The voice of the fans. This dude was outselling John Cena, outselling him in terms of merchandise. How do you not give him the belt? How do you not? Here, let's break it down real quick. Just for funsies. Let's break it down, okay? January 08. He does that epic swanton off the rafters, off the top of the Raw stage. Gets carted, ambulanced out. Goes to Royal Rumble. Loses to Randy Orton after a missed twist of fate. Gets a new theme song, No More Words, in February. Has to lose the Intercontinental belt to Chris Jericho because he got suspended for violating the drug use, the wellness policy. Comes back in May. Gets drafted to SmackDown in June. Faces off with MVP. Faces off with Umaga and MVP. Those feuds were solid. But without that feud against Umaga, we wouldn't get that epic swanton off of the doggone truck. Or that amazing spot where he slid on the rails and clotheslined Umaga. That was epic too. And it's because of that, we get Jeff winning a spot for the WWE Championship Scramble match under Forgiven. And he loses to Triple H, who got a pinfall at the very last second, because he was the reigning... Because Triple H was the champion going into the match, but how scramble matches work is every time you get a pinfall or submission, you actually become the interim champion for the time being, until the clock goes to zero. And if you're the champion at the end of it, you become the official champion. So toward the last moments, Jeff Hardy was going to win the title, but Triple H snatched it from him. And the same thing would happen again after beating Brian Kendrick, MVP, and Shelton Benjamin in a 4-way on SmackDown that following Friday night. And after taking a merciless beating from Vanderbilt Kozlov, he would go into No Mercy as the number one contender for the WWE Championship again. And he'd hit the swanton on Triple H. And you think he got the victory, right? But no, Triple H rolled him back up and got the victory. Still, close, no cigar. Cyber Sunday rolls around. He gets nominated as one of the choices to face Triple H for the WWE Championship there. And he blows Vladimir Kozlov out the water when the fans voted for him. Sadly, we would not get his bittersweet cup of victory moment because Triple H beats him again. This time a bit cleaner than the last time. But still, it was a great match. And then it gets to a point where Jeff is like, Vicky, I promise you, if I give me one more chance at Triple H and I'll become WWE Champion. And then Vicky is like, you don't have what it takes to be WWE Champion. You're not even at Extreme anymore. He was like, Extreme, is that what you want, Vicky? And she was like, what I want is for you to get ready for your tag team match. Because, let's be honest, it's what you do best. And that lit a fire under Jeff. And then Jeff, during his match against John Morrison against Miz, with Triple H as a partner, dude, he would not tag in Triple H for the life of him. Triple H had to force him to get tagged in. And then, he causes a disqualification by slapping everybody with a chair, including Miz and Morrison. You know what I'm saying? And then, he was like, was that extreme enough for you, Vicky? And she was like, I'm sorry, Jeff. Vladimir and I have a deal. Close, but no cigar. Meanwhile, me as a young fan, I'm like, Vicky, you know this is bullshit. Vladimir deserves to get nowhere near the damn belt. Hardy has been working his ass off. You know what? I'm just gonna watch, see how everything goes. And then, Vladimir, he gets promised that if he beats the Undertaker that night, he gets the title shot at November Survivor Series. So that match goes on SmackDown. Jeff Hardy comes out and attacks everybody with a steel chair. Attacks Kozlov with it, and even smacks Undertaker with it. You know what I'm saying? And Undertaker, tries to get Jeff, but Jeff is already scurrying away at this point. And then Justin Roberts, the announcer, was like, "Ladies and gentlemen, your winner as a result of the disqualification, Vladimir Kozlov." And then Undertaker got so mad he chokeslammed Kozlov. And then Jeff goes up until Vicky was like, "Next week I do what Vladimir couldn't do. I could take out anybody. I could take out the Undertaker if you make the match Extreme Rules." And then Vicky was like, "You got it. You got it." And then that match comes, and Jeff ends up winning despite interference from Big Show. But still, he wins. And then Vicky was like, "You want a deal, Jeff? I'll make you a deal. If you beat Undertaker..." No, not Undertaker, I'm sorry. "If you beat Triple H one-on-one next week, then you'll be added to the WWE Championship match, and thus making it a triple threat match at Survivor Series." Well, that's well and good, Vicky. But if you don't hold up your end of the bargain, I just might go extreme on you. And I'm like, see, he let that country come out of him. That's how you know he means business. And then he beats Triple H by rolling him up. He beats him up. Survivor Series comes around, and Jeff Hardy gets attacked in the stairwell. Now, this wasn't real. This was kayfabe, but they put it out on WWE making it think it was real. I'm like, oh, shit. Here we go. They're screwing my boy Jeff out again. And Triple H and Kozlov go at it, and I'm not going to lie. That match was ass. It was ass. I'm not going to lie. Until Vicky came and was like, "He's here! He's here! Here he is!" I'm like, as promised, this will be a triple threat match. Here he is! I'm like, who's it going to be? Please, is it Jeff? Is Jeff? And then the "You Think You Know Me," I'm like, this nigga Edge. No! And then once Edge comes out and starts spearing everybody, here comes Jeff whooping Edge's ass. I'm like, yes, Jeff! Get back on him. Yeah, whoop his ass. And then he's going crazy with the chair, hitting Kozlov with the chair, hitting Triple H with the chair, and was about to hit Edge with it, but he got speared instead. And then Edge takes the WWE Championship home with him this time around. I'm like, look at this shit! Look at this! They can't let him get away with this. And then like on SmackDown that Friday, Jeff Hardy is actually given another opportunity by doing a beat the clock match, and he beat Brian Kendrick in 12 minutes and 13 seconds. And then Matt Hardy and Vladimir Kozlov have a beat the clock challenge match, and Kozlov fails to finish Matt Hardy in that record time, so he doesn't get a title shot. And I'm like, thank you God, I don't want to see Vladimir in a main event match ever again. And Triple H barely gets his W over Shelton Benjamin in that same allotted time that Jeff got it. So, guess what? Triple threat match. Edge, Triple H, Jeff Hardy. Set up for Armageddon. Big fight field coming up. So, yeah. And in the build-up, Jeff Hardy isn't having it with anyone. Edge, Triple H, he said he doesn't care if he walks out or if he crawls out. He's leaving Armageddon WWE Champion. And that's what happened. Despite interference from Vladimir Kozlov, Jeff beats the odds. At first, I thought he was going to get screwed again because of Kozlov, but, Jeff was resilient throughout the whole match. Triple H pedigrees Edge with Hardy hung up on the top rope after stopping Hardy from swantoning Edge. He pedigrees him. Triple H tries to pin him, and then Jeff swantons them both. Well, he got a little bit of Triple H. He didn't get all of Triple H. Triple H dug out of the way in time. And then he pins Edge, and we went crazy. Now, I didn't watch this. I didn't watch it live. Because we was poor and couldn't afford pay-per-views, but I had to go on WWE.com and read that Jeff finally won. I'm like, yes! He did it, y'all! He did it! Oh man! And then when I watched it that Friday Night SmackDown, dog, when he hoisted up the title and it was the fireworks and the pyro, he was like, "Son, He was celebrating. He was like, it finally happened. This for all the rejects, all the freaks. And I'm like, nah, you did this for the universe, Jeff. And then Edge comes out and sours it, and then Jeff hits with a twist of fate. And then, like, it would all feel sour because come Royal Rumble 09, if it wasn't for that idiot leaking out that Christian was going to be the guy to screw Jeff out of WWE title, it wouldn't have been Matt Hardy. Because when Matt Hardy did what he did, we was like,
man, that's that shit I'm talking about. What the fuck, man? What the hell was that?
Exactly. And we're over an hour, so I'm going to try to speed this up. So, coming in short, that was the peak of the main event Jeff Hardy. Because he would try to win the WWE Championship back and No Way Out failed. And then his little 2-month feud, his little 3-month feud with Matt Hardy culminated in 2 matches. Matt winning 3 matches actually. Matt won the Extreme Rules match after twist of fating at WrestleMania 25 after twist of fating Jeff Hardy through the steel chair with his neck through it. I thought he literally broke his neck that match. I'm like, oh, it's R.I.P. Jeff. But he came back for the stretcher match, Smoke, and Matt beat him there too. But it took an I Quit match at Backlash for him to finally get one over on his brother. And I'm like, yes. Now it's on the bigger and better things. And he ends up winning a fatal 4-way match for the number 1 contendership for the World Heavyweight Championship on SmackDown. Because around that time, the WWE and World titles got switched because Edge did some snaky shit after losing the WWE Championship to Triple H in that chamber match early on and snuck himself into the World Heavyweight title match and won that instead. So as a result, and Triple H ended up getting drafted to Raw anyway, thus putting the WWE title on Raw. So there's that. So yeah, Edge and Jeff Hardy have a decent match. Matt Hardy interferes yet again by just smacking Jeff Hardy in the back of the head, and Edge hits him with an execution off the top rope, making him retain again. But Tilo does the grand old thing. Instead of putting Edge one-on-one against The Undertaker, he gives Jeff Hardy another chance to face off against Edge, and they put him in a match. Be like, yo, if you win, whoever wins gets to decide the stipulation, and Jeff Hardy rightfully wins. And decides that it's going to be a ladder match. And that Extreme Rules match for the title? Classic. I would watch it 10 times over. But it gets sour because of dumbass CM Punk coming in to cash in his title. Now, when he kicked out of the first go to sleep, I'm like, okay, Jeff might not actually be out. But when he hit the second go to sleep, I'm like, okay, Jeff is done. Jeff is done. And it leads on to arguably the second greatest feud of 2009. Because what him and CM Punk did, I swear, Jeff was the best babyface to put over a heel CM Punk because of how contrast they are. I'm telling you right now, literally one of the best main event feuds of 2009, bar none, because of the storytelling. It wasn't just because of the title, no, it was the storytelling. So yeah, so long story short, Punk gets to keep the title off of some Mickey shit because number 1, his foot was underneath the bottom rope, so they had to restart the match. Number 2, Punk faked an eye injury at the match and kicked the referee in the back, which would lead to a rematch between them for Night of Champions. And Jeff climbs the mountain yet again after CM Punk tried to run away. You know what I'm saying? The crazy part is Punk actually came out once Armageddon went off the air, and he was celebrating with his world title above his head and congratulated Jeff, which was odd. And then comes then comes the week after, they actually let Jeff get a World Heavyweight title defense, and a successful one at that, because with the WWE title, he didn't even get a successful title defense. His first title defense, he lost to Edge. His first title defense was against John Morrison, and he won pretty cleanly. You know what I'm saying? Sadly, he would lose the World Heavyweight title to CM Punk because of the TLC match where he did that epic swanton off the ladder and had to get stretchered out. And he tried to fight off Punk, but it didn't work. Thankfully, it led to The Undertaker coming back and chokeslamming CM Punk, though. But that damn steel cage match where it was title versus WWE contract hurt my soul. It really hurt my soul. Because we didn't want Jeff Hardy to leave, but he did. Because CM Punk climbed out of the cage. And Jeff had to be like, this isn't goodbye forever. This is goodbye for now. And then, like, CM Punk does the sour thing and clocks Hardy in the back of the head. And sadly, he would let his contract expire in September. And he would go on to TNA to do other things. I'm not even going to speak on his TNA run. I'll make a separate video on that if you want me to. But yeah, man. Regardless of the fact, it still doesn't change that this version of Jeff Hardy was him at the peak of his powers, and still everybody remembers him for this run. This run pretty much redefined Jeff Hardy's career. He rose from tag team wrestler to certified main eventer. And he said himself he could have been bigger than John Cena if his addiction didn't get in the way. And I believe it. But yeah, man. Salute to you, Jeff Hardy. When you finally retire, you're invited to every cookout. That's on Hood. Coming in at the last one, you should already know what that is. You should already know who number one is. Was there any doubt? Was there any doubt? It didn't matter if it was Thugonomics, Chain Gang, Super Cena, Mid-Card Cena. It didn't matter. Everybody loves John Cena. Everybody's still doing the You Can't See Me. Everybody still wants that spinner belt. John Cena is the greatest babyface of all time because he kept wrestling relevant. And he kept wrestling interesting at periods where its popularity hit a low point after low point after low point. He put the WWE on his back consistently for well over 15 years. 15 plus years, might I add. For this reason, he's the greatest babyface of all time. Okay? Look, the internet and the IWC could never make me hate this guy. Even when everybody hated him and was booing him out of real, talking about John Cena sucks, I was still cheering this guy. I was still doing the You Can't See Me. I was still buying the action figures. I was still die hard. Because like it or not, without this guy, WWE loses a lot of its luster, loses a lot of its history. Without John Cena. Because look, who else put the WWE, who else could put the WWE on their back? Post Rock, Austin, and post Prime Triple H. Who else? He had the charisma. The champ is here. You want some? Come get some. Who else? I rest my case, man. But yeah, I kind of wish his retirement tour could have been booked better, but I blame TKO. But yeah, man. John Cena, without a doubt, if you're not the greatest wrestler of all time, you definitely top 3. And you're not 3. For real, for real. Shoot, I will die on this mountain alone. But I'm going to say this. John Cena is better than Hulk Hogan. I will die on this mountain alone if I have to say that. Because when wrestling wasn't popping, this man kept the lights on. And it didn't matter what part of the card was he at. Main event, mid-card, lower card. It didn't matter. Regardless if he was going against Bray Wyatt, Randy Orton, Edge, who was his best rival, Shawn Michaels, Triple H, Batista, CM Punk, The Rock. It didn't matter who he was going against. Lesnar, Big Show. Whatever he was doing, whatever Cena was doing, you were interested. It didn't matter if you loved him or hated him. As long as he kept you interested, that was his role. Regardless of what version of himself it was. You cannot knock John Cena for what he did for wrestling. I'm going to miss this guy in the ring. But I know he's going to do better things. Not just for WWE, but for his other ventures like his acting. But yeah, man. That's it for today's video. If to recap, but before we sign out, we're gonna recap. Number 10, Daniel Bryan. 9, Shawn Michaels. 8, Wrestling Machine Kurt. 7, Rey Mysterio. 6, Comeback Eddie. 5th, World Main Event Batista. Fourth, People's Champion The Rock. Third, Biker and Deadman Taker. Second, Main Event Jeff Hardy. Matter of fact, Jeff Hardy, period. Lastly, John Cena. But anyways, thank you all for tuning in. If you guys enjoyed it, don't forget to leave a like, comment, subscribe, and notification bell, and I'll see you all for the next list. Don't know what it's going to be on, but hopefully you'll tune in. Till then, I love you guys. Be safe. And I'll see y'all. Deuce.